So this idea of looking for a sign and kind of trying to experience God with us is really highlighted in a story I heard this week. It's not a new story, but it's new to me. Maybe it'll be new to you. It's a story about Dvir and Dalia Emanuelov. Anybody heard this story before? All right, so this story began in the war, Aferet Yetsuka, which is the Kaslev War. It's the first Aza war in 2008, 2009. And Dvir, who was a resident of Yerushalayim, he was a Golani and in the army, and he was called up to serve, and his mother kind of was worried. His Dalia was worried about him, that he'd have to go into Gaza, and for a while she asked him to not do it, and after a while she finally gave him her blessing. But she wanted to know if he was indeed going in. So she said, send me a code via text. So I know you're going in. I know you can't say what you're doing or where you're going. Their code was, if he used the language, Ishmor al atzmiya, I'll protect myself. So he wrote her this text. It was Shabbos, I think, I recall from the story. And she opened it up afterwards and found that he wrote her this text. And this is actually his last text. It says, Leima she'achia karali ba'olam, the mother who's the most precious to me in the world. Ohevatach Hamon, I love you so much. Ishmor al atzmi, I'll guard myself. So he's about to go into Gaza. Tishmor al atzmechem, guard yourselves. U'ezrat Hashem, nachzir et kvodo shel Am Yisrael. With God's help, we will restore the honor of Am Yisrael. So that was his mindset going in, to restore the honor of Am Yisrael. So he went into Gaza, and they were on the battlefield, and it was he was the last one in line with his unit, kind of protecting people from the back, and he actually was the first person, first Jew, Israeli, killed in that war. He was shot in battle, and there were 13 altogether during that war at that time, Israelis. So he was killed in battle, and his mother really was suffering. As a result of that, she was in deep mourning, very deep mourning, because she also lost her husband not too long before that. And she was distraught. She was sad. And one day they went to the cemetery this is all 100% true story, because I actually listened to the recording of her sharing it. So I'm sharing you what she shared. There's a lot of accounts of this story. So this is the real stuff. So she listened. They went to the kever on his birthday, to the cemetery on his birthday. She got back home. She's like, I can't believe this is my life. I don't have my husband, my son got killed in battle. Dvir, who was so precious to me, and she said she's a religious woman. So she said, Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give me a sign. Give me a sign that I know this is reality. This is real. This isn't just some nightmare. Let me know, and I'll pick up myself and I'll try to get better. But right now, I just feel like I'm in this nightmare. So 2 weeks later, her daughter invites her to go to this concert in Chutzot Yatzer, which is near Emek Rafaim area. It's near Katamon area, Rechavia. There was a concert there, 7,000 people or something, 6,000, 7,000 people. They go to the concert, and at the concert, she's sitting down, and this young boy comes up to her. Blonde-haired young boy, maybe 2 or 3 years old, and taps her on the shoulder, and says hi, and she goes hi, and she was a preschool teacher, so she had all these she had a toy in her pocketbook or whatever, so she started to talk to this boy. She goes, what's your name? He goes, my name's Eshel. She goes, nice to meet you. You want to be my friend? He goes, yeah, I like that. And she goes, you want to come sit with me? And when she said that, she heard Eshel's father calling to Eshel. He goes, Eshel, come sit with us. Come sit with me and Dvir. Right? So all of a sudden she heard the name Dvir. That's her son's name. So she had to see who this Dvir was, because she's thinking about Dvir all day long. So she goes back and talks to the father. He goes, why'd you name this? When was this son born? She goes, he said 6 months ago. She goes, before the war or after the war? He said after the war, right after the war. She goes, I'm sorry to keep asking questions, but why did you name him Dvir? And they said, well, we heard about that first soldier that was killed in Aferet Yitzchak in the Kaslev War. His name was Dvir, and so we decided to name our child right at that time after Dvir. And she goes, and she said, well, I'm Dalia Emanuelov. I'm Dvir's mother. And she goes, no, you're not. And she proved to him that she was. And they said, oh, we're so sorry. Like, we were going to invite you to the Brit Milah and everything, but we just got caught up in everything. And it turns out, so the mother comes of Dvir, and she steps up. She goes, here, this is Dvir. Your Dvir is giving you a hug right now. Take Dvir and hug Dvir. And Dvir's hugging you right now. And so she says at that moment, that's when it clicked for her. Like, she asked for a sign, and she got a sign. And she knew that Dvir was still with her, and she knew that she could kind of move on with her life. And that's what she did. From that moment, she started to do a lot of, like, she created, like, this a studio where she created stuff in honor of her child, and they created these stickers with the language from the text, which is Nachzir Ekvodo Shel Am Yisrael, where we restore the honor of Am Yisrael. She spoke all over the place. And so really, it's the idea that God's with us. Sometimes we see it in a very miraculous way. She was in a concert with 7,000 people. This kid taps her on the shoulder and starts asking, talking to her. It's like a message from Hashem. Sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't. But from the story of Yaakov and overall Judaism, the idea is that Hashem's there, Hashem's with us. We don't always see it, but sometimes we get a window into seeing how Hashem is really close to us, just like in this story.